So today's video I'm going to discuss about how to get into a master's degree program in the sciences. So here I'm talking specifically about Indian institutions, and the exam which will help you get into these institutions is known as the KVPY. So it's a short form for Kishore Vaigyanik Protsahan Yojana, which basically translates into Young Scientist Motivational Scheme. Now this is a very nice exam, and if you are interested in this exam, you can find more about it in kvpy.iisc.ernet.in. So this examination tries to find a group of people who want to pursue research in the basic sciences. So here we are talking of physics, chemistry, math and biology. So this is particularly interesting because this is one of the few exams which combines all these four subjects, whereas typically there is a tendency towards either going towards the physics, chemistry, mathematics stream and then not going for biology, or for going for the biology stream and not going for the mathematics classes. So now I'll just give you a brief outline of this exam, and you can find much more details in the web page which I have mentioned before. So basically there are three forms of this exam. One form of the exam is you can give once you have completed grade 10th or class 10th. So several months following class 10th, when you are in your next class, you can give this exam. So that's known as the SA paper. Then there is the SX paper which you can give during class 12, and the SB paper which you can give after class 12. So that maybe you are in a first year of some UG program and then you can give this also. Now I will concentrate more on the SA paper which you give a few months after class 10th or several months after class 10th, as the case may be. And this exam is very interesting because it has four parts. So you have to give replies to questions on physics, chemistry, math as well as biology. So the interesting part is the inclusion of biology in this curriculum. And if you do well in this exam and you qualify in this particular test, there are further processes which you have to go through, and if you go through those successfully, then you not only get into one of the top institutions in the country, and you can do your bachelor's degree as well as master's degree if you want to in one of the pure science streams. So as far as the bachelor's degree is concerned, you can do BSc, BS, BStat, BMath, and also you can do a master's degree in these different disciplines. So my recommendation, of course, as you have realized from my previous videos, is to go for the master's degree which is combined together into 5-year course, because that gives you a very good background on a subject. So one should keep in mind that first year and some of the second year of the curriculum may go in general subjects and in some humanities and social sciences also. So it's a good idea to go for the master's degree here. Now, what is interesting about this exam is that you have physics, chemistry, math and bio at the same time. So sometimes people question why all these four subjects are being lumped together. And many people are familiar with fields such as biochemistry or biophysics or mathematical physics, but they are not seeing any need about mathematics and bio to come together. So I would just like to share something with the young students and parents, if they would be willing to consider it, is that there is a lot of research activity going on where there is a coalescence of the fields of mathematics and biology. So I think some of the biggest impact in terms of research is going to come from the combination of these two fields. And there is a lot of possibility in terms of mathematical modeling which is possible in the biological fields. So this is something to keep in mind, and just for your knowledge, I would just like to share this book with you. So you can see here, this book is on mathematical biology, which I've been reading recently. And in this book, there are many things about modeling of infectious diseases and so on. So the modeling tools which are there in math have now reached a high degree of capability, and many of the biological systems can be mathematically modeled. Similarly, if we are talking of medicinal systems, many of the problems such as cancer, or looking at the heart as a pump, or different organs as mechanical devices is now possible. So I think mathematical biology is going to be one of the important fields in the future. So of course, if you take the exam later in class 12 and beyond, there is a possibility of selecting one of these different subjects. So you may be able to drop bio or math. But my suggestion is, of course, to take this exam at the first time right after class 10, then you will reap the best benefit of this exam at that point. So again, the typical way to prepare for this exam would be to read from your board books, which are there in class 9 and 10, and a little bit beyond that. And if you are interested, you can also download many of the books from the NCERT website. So again, a free resource is there, that is ncert.nic.in. So if you go to this particular web page, you can download the textbooks and the PDF books for all the classes from 1 to 12. So of course you can benefit by taking a look at the books for class 9 and 10 as well as beyond. And in fact, even when I was studying in my board, I used to find the NCERT books very succinct in terms of the descriptions they used to give. And they were probably the most concise of the books in the science and mathematics field even at that time, and they remain like that today compared to many of the different board books. So that's a good place to prepare, and they also give very good problems and so on. If you are interested in more problems, there are something known as the NCERT Exemplar problems. So again, you can find this in the web page of this particular body. So I would suggest you check these out. Now, one of the things which the KVPY webpage does is that it gives a whole bunch of test papers for the last many years and the answers to these questions. So I think the last 10-year question papers are there and the answer to this question. So as in some of my previous video, what I would recommend is that you read your textbooks, and after class 10th during the summer vacation, you take a shot at some of these papers and see how you can do in them, and find out your weaknesses and strengths and to focus on them by going further back in your textbooks and reading them. And I have also mentioned before the utility of taking notes during all your preparation, whether it is class 9, class 10 or beyond. So given that the books are very thick and detailed, it's always useful to keep notes on the various subjects and do a bunch of problems in all these subjects. And so you can quickly revise the material when the need comes. Now, one of the things I always believe in is that you try to do the question papers which are provided and you know the answer, but you don't want to look at the solution. You want to give a maximum amount of time to try to actually solve the problem yourself. Because as long as you don't know the solution, it's somewhat like research, and the best research training comes if you are able to look at the theory and then solve a problem without necessarily looking at the solution. So one of the problems which has happened is a proliferation of various books and solved papers. So again, the solved papers give you a very simple solution to many of these problems, and it's not a good way to learn these problems, because what happens is you may be preparing for these exams by going through the last many years papers, but the next exam is not going to be a linear combination of the previous year's paper and so on. So it's a good thing to focus on trying to do the problems yourself and to then see how you are doing and what are your weak points and so on. If you have a lot of difficulty in doing the problems yourself, you can discuss with some of your friends and colleagues and even your school teachers and so on, and most likely they will be quite willing to help you in the process. Now, I have also told in a previous video about JEE preparation that the best time to study for these exams is during the summer vacations when you are free. So the summer vacation after class 10, when you have given the board exam, is probably the best time to concentrate on the KVPY. And this will also make sure that you digest the entire contents of the class 9 and 10 and the board. And you also start looking at the board syllabus from a different perspective in terms of problem solving and research. So that will expand your mind in terms of the way you look at the subject. And again, if you feel the need to go deeper into any of the subjects, I think there are many classical books in the field. So again, books which have survived for several decades, they are probably the best books to follow in classical fields such as physics, chemistry, math and bio. And so many of these books are there at very reasonable prices because they are classical, and probably the publishers don't want to get too many royalties from them. So that's one of the books you need to study. Now, as far as my personal thinking is concerned, I always believe that morning time is best for study. So in my previous video, I had talked about getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning and then studying at that time. especially if you are looking at competitive exams. That's a good time to demarcate for competitive exams from 3 o'clock in the morning to whatever time you have breakfast, and then during the day and all you can concentrate on the board exam, and if you need to you can take a nap during the afternoon. So typically that was my style when I was preparing for JEE a long time before. So these are some points I had in mind today about this particular exam. And one thing I should add before closing is that this exam also provides you a scholarship. So right through your BSc stage, you start getting a scholarship from the government. So this is one of the few exams which you can give right after class 10. And if you do well in it, you will get a scholarship for doing the bachelor's degree program itself as well as for doing the master's degree program. So if you are doing a 5-year combined master's degree program, then you will get a scholarship during this entire period of your life. And then following this, there are a lot of things you can do. You can do research in different research labs, you can join some industry, you can pursue PhD for future goals and become a research scientist or become a professor and so on. So again, this is very useful test for people who want to lower their financial problems and to take the scholarship. And so therefore I would recommend all the people to take a look at this KVPY exam, and also to tell various young people who are studying in class 9 and 10 about the existence of this exam and the advantage of taking this exam if they are good in sciences and mathematics and they want to become scientists or mathematicians down the road in the future. So I hope this video was useful for you. And again, please stay tuned to my channel where I come up with such videos each week. And bye for now. Thank you very much.